Hello, my name is Dan Castle. I was born and raised in the United States. I served in the United States Marine Corps, and currently I am living here. This is the flag of the Russian Federation, and I'm living here for many reasons, but there are some reasons why I can't go back to the United States. And in this video, you're going to get to learn why I'm choosing not to go back to the United States. As I said, I was born in the United States. Here's my passport, but because my mother is from Mexico, I also have a Mexican passport. And I'm giving you guys a backstory of who I am. I told you I served in the military because a lot of these things play a factor as to why I will not be going back to the United States. And I want to get into the story right now. Let's start off by telling you guys that yes, I did get married here in Russia. I'm married to a Russian citizen. And actually, when I got married in Russia, I thought about it and I said, I'm going to get married under a Mexican citizenship. So while you look at parts of my wedding, you can see I took photos with the Mexican flag. And I did this on purpose. I deliberately chose to get married under my Mexican citizenship here in Russia because I knew that at least that country, the country of Mexico, would recognize my marriage immediately. We all know that in the last 4 years before the President of the United States, Donald Trump, became president, President Biden had open border policy. And it really bothers me that, okay, here you have a guy who served honorably and was honorably discharged from the United States Marine Corps. He went to go fight in Afghanistan, but he gets married to a Russian, and it's going to take years for her to be able to even get some sort of residency in the United States, or at least stay or visit the United States. Because of the conflict in Ukraine, the United States has a negative stance against Russian citizens and Russia in general. I cannot stand the hypocrisy that my government has been putting forward against the Russians, because I was married a little bit over 6 months ago, and to be honest, if I were in Mexico at that time when I got married, perhaps I could have taken Xenia illegally to the United States, but it just doesn't feel right that the citizens of the United States would have to do that kind of stuff to, I don't know, get my wife to meet my mother, have my wife meet my family. If my wife is to have a child, how would we even go to the United States as a family? It just bothers me. I'm not going to bend the knee for the United States because it simply does not rate that anymore. And by the way, I have been living in Russia for the last almost 3 years. This year in April, I would have lived in Russia for 3 years. This country has at least a 6-month visa. It's very comprehensive. I've lived my life here essentially as a person who's lived here permanently, because there is nowhere for me to go where I can be accepted except Mexico and Russia. Now, obviously, I don't want to leave to Mexico right now because I have to finish building this house. But I have to give absolute respect to Russia that I have lived on its soil for almost 3 years on a tourist visa of all things. I have been having to be here as a tourist with my wife because there is no other way for me to get her to the United States. Again, I've already made it very clear that I will not do it under the circumstances, but at least Russia makes it possible for our relationship to exist. People have to understand that just because I have these two flags, it doesn't mean I'm not an American citizen. It doesn't delete my service to the United States. It just means that my government is a little bit backwards because it allows illegal people to come through the border. Well, it did. It allowed illegal immigrants to go through its border, but it makes the process very long for legal marriages. It won't recognize my marriage with my Russian wife because a lot of the government or the delegates, ambassadors have left Russia. It makes it really, really impossible for me to do that. And even if I could do it, even if I was in the United States, it would take years, 1 to 2 years. And now they make excuses that there's so many on a queue, and it's not normal. And so that's why, my friends, even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to go back to the United States because I will not dishonor my marriage with my wife. She is Russian, and my country has been very negative towards hers. By the way, leave your comment down below what you think when you see an American waving a Russian flag? I'm asking Russian people, I'm asking foreigners who are not from Russia, does it bother you? A lot of people hate to see this. A lot of people hate to see the solidarity that some Americans have with Russians. And I can't seem but to shake that. You know, a lot of people will come with, hey, but guys, I'm married a Russian citizen. There's nothing that makes me more proud than to represent her country and my countries. Ksenia went to Mexico with me, guys, and in Mexico, she embraced the Mexican culture. We're just humans, guys. In the future, Ksenia will have Mexican citizenship. And if she wants, even though she says she doesn't, she could have American citizen if she wants, if they change the law 30 years from now, because I'm not betting on it, but I really don't care. What does it make you feel when you see a foreigner have a Russian flag? You know, it bothers so many people. But to me, it's just me honoring my future bloodline. It's honoring my wife. Okay, a lot of people just seem to forget about honor. They don't understand that this is just life and we're all same as everybody else. We have different cultures, of course, different countries, and we should embrace that. People have to understand that there's still honor left in some people around the world, and I will honor my future bloodline because they won't only be Americans, right? They won't only be Mexican. My wife will essentially be giving birth in the future to a Russian child, and I can't dishonor my own bloodline. And it makes me really angry that you have a lot of people going against you if you live in Russia, if you're American, as if Russia's the enemy of the state. This is absolutely incredible that entire societies have been brainwashed to believe these things, okay? Because it came out of nowhere. At the time of this recording, I'm actually in a plot of land that my wife and I bought. Another big reason why I simply don't see myself moving back to the United States is because we're going to set some roots down here. You can see the beautiful background behind me, perhaps. We're just coming into spring here in Siberia. And I am so proud to say that, yes, we have bought our plot of land. It's almost 1 year since we bought this place, and we will be building a house here. And this is something that wouldn't be possible doing it in California and Los Angeles. I didn't get to choose where I was born. I was just born in the most expensive state and one of the most expensive cities in the country, and there's no way that I could make a life there, you know? I'm just a basic old grunt, I guess, and I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm admitting to it. And life is much better for me here anyways. I have my wife, I have my father-in-law, we're next to Lake Baikal, and I've assimilated to an easier way of life. I used to like the craziness, I used to like the city life, I guess. But guess what? You know, when you go somewhere, you assimilate, and I feel like I've completely assimilated to this town at least. I don't know if this is a Russian lifestyle that I'm having, but Siberian for sure. My story is not unique, okay? The United States has a problem with so many countries where, just put yourself in my shoes. It could be you in the future if you're young and you decide to travel the world, and the United States is sanctioning the country where you want to visit, and the United States closes all embassies in that country. It can absolutely be you. So you have to think about this, guys. If you decide to travel, if you decide to get married in a foreign country, understand that you're going to have to stick to your guns, okay? You're going to have to restart a new life. At least for me, because I really want to protect my pride. I will not, like I said, bend the knee to a government that doesn't want to recognize my future bloodline. Even though you've served that country, even though you served honorably, there's nothing left, right? In the future, perhaps I will fight so that Ksenia can get an American visa on her Mexican passport so that she can go visit my family. But I'm telling you right now, my wife doesn't want to go live in the United States. And I take her opinion and I take my opinion, and essentially we came up with, yeah, we're not going to make our life there. I'm also really curious to know, after I told you all of these things, what do you think about this? I recently had a live video where we were talking about this exact point. And I want to know in the comment sections, do you think that me living in Russia is a step forward or a step backwards? You put yourself in my shoes. Would you think if you came to Russia and decided to stay, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what your citizenship is, I want to know, do you think that living in Russia is a step forward or a step backwards in today's society, in today's world? And I'm asking this because I genuinely respect everybody's answers, okay? And some people wanted me to move back to the United States with Ksenia. There's still like a superhero mentality from foreigners thinking that Russian women want to be saved and taken to the United States. Not all Russian women are materialistic. Not all Russian women want to be saved by that European or American hero. I've met a lot of sick men who have come to Russia actually with intentions of marrying very, very young women and trying to take them out of here. You know, you might find some materialistic women, but my intentions were never to even get married in Russia. My intentions were never to try to save a woman and take her out of here. So when I did get married and I did decide to stay here, I kind of looked at that as a big problem, the Western mentality of the superhero. You know, when I ask your guys' opinions, you have to really dig deep and remember that we are not superheroes. Russia is not living in the Stone Age. So because I don't decide to move back to the United States doesn't mean that I'm choosing the worst of the two choices here. I said that we're gonna build a house here, and you know, it looks like I'm in the middle of nowhere. A lot of people probably think that we're in the freaking boondocks or something. We're about 10 minutes away from the town center. We're about 10 minutes from the train that connects you to Moscow. So I am not living like a bushman or anything. I am dressed this way because this is how we live here in this part of Siberia. You need something for the ticks. You need to be wearing different things, but like I said, I assimilated. I like this place. We're going to make our life here. And it's just ridiculous that we even have to have this conversation. But I felt like I had to make a full video so that you guys understand. A lot of you guys want to come to Russia. A lot of you guys perhaps want to get married in Russia. You have to understand that you will have Russian American babies. And it's up to you to decide if you're going to dishonor your bloodline. Hopefully the relationship between the United States and Russia gets much better. But right now, I just don't see myself dishonoring my future kids by submitting to the American government and paying them thousands of dollars to have the process done, waiting years to even accept to have my wife be there as a resident, even though I'm legally married now. And it's just not something that I want to happen to you without you knowing that this is the kind of life you might have. These are the struggles that you might encounter. If you're not subscribed, please do consider subscribing. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting like. And of course, I will be doing another live video this weekend. We are pumping out at least 2 live videos every week. Please consider going on our lives and interacting with me, asking some questions live. The community is growing. I appreciate your guys' support, and I appreciate Russia for what it's done for me. And I hope that a lot of you guys who maybe were offended by seeing an American with the Russian flag don't go and cry somewhere, okay? This is just reality. There are Americans who are actually in relationships with Russian women, or there are Americans with Russian husbands, and this is just how the world works. I hope that in the future, my country of the United States can have a better stance against Russia. This is a wish that I have for my unborn children in the future, because the United States, if it is the most strongest, powerful, and influential country in the world, should have more friends than enemies. This is what I believe. And I also want to give a thanks to the Mexican government, because it will honor my marriage. It will honor my wife by giving her that citizenship that she deserves for marrying a Mexican citizen. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for joining me.